All right, we have finished reading Beowulf. We are completely finished with the story. So hopefully you wrote your responses yesterday to the ending, and I can read and see how you thought the ending turned out. Were you surprised by anything? Was it like you expected it to be? What was different? So we have several things that we're going to do today, finishing up this unit. We're finishing up this whole unit, and next week we're going to move on to something a little bit different. All right, so here are your assignments for today, and we're going to finish up with the third set of vocabulary because we didn't get to completely finish our assignments for it. So the first thing you're going to do is go back to that vocabulary set that we went over yesterday in your study guide on page 24. And you're going to go ahead for that same vocabulary and do what we normally do with your pictures. So remember that you're going to draw or find online one picture to represent each word in vocabulary set 3. So the same thing that you've done for your other two vocabulary sets for Beowulf. And so your pictures are going to be the first thing that you do today, and we're just going to finish up with that vocab. All right? And then I have one other thing that I want you to answer from the study guide, and that is on page 27. It's under the topic literature groups. So let's take a look at that. Down here on page 27, under the literature groups. Now, I know you can't do this with a small group of students unless you meet with Google Meet or Zoom or something like that, or talk on the phone, but I just want you to write this yourself, okay? So it says, discuss a theme or main idea developed in Beowulf. Write a sentence or two that sums up the theme, and then we can talk about it together when we are in class. But what we're looking for here is something that basically teaches a lesson or gives a moral to the story, or something that would be a central idea in Beowulf. Kind of maybe a reason for the writer writing the story, or as we know, he composed it orally, but for his creating the story. So we're looking for a moral, a main idea, a lesson maybe that you feel like this taught. We're looking for a main theme, and I just want to know your thoughts and opinions on what the theme of Beowulf would be, okay? So we're going to do that assignment on page 27 of the study guide. So the vocab and this one literature assignment on page 27. Now, those are the only two things that you're going to turn into this Google Classroom assignment, okay? It's not all that we're doing today, but it's the only two things you're going to turn into this assignment. We have one other assignment that I want you to do, and this is going to be a little bit longer, but this is the culminating assignment for the Beowulf unit, and this is going to be a graded assignment, okay? So I've attached it right here to Friday's assignments. You're going to click on this link, and it'll take you to the actual instructions and the whole assignment. This is a culminating writing task. Now, it's still not very much. It's more than you've written for any assignment that we've had so far this year, but it's a 4 to 5 paragraph essay. Don't groan. I hear the groans already. It's a 4 to 5 paragraph essay that you're going to write, basically comparing Beowulf to a hero of your choice, okay? So you're going to choose someone, and there's a wide variety of choices that you can make for this. You could literally choose a superhero. So you could be talking about Superman or Spider-Man. You could choose just a modern hero in a television show that you like. It doesn't have to be a superhero, but maybe it's just the person, the main character in a television show, the main character in a movie or a book, if you happen to read. It could also be a character in a video game. You know, a lot of video games are narrative now, and they have characters in them, and maybe even you role play a certain character. So you're going to pick one other character from some of these sources. Could be from a television show, a movie, a book, a video game. And then what you're going to do is compare and contrast Beowulf and this other hero that you're thinking about. Now, it does need to be somebody fictional. It doesn't need to be a real person like a fireman or a policeman. It needs to be a fictional character, an actual character from some sort of medium. Okay, so look at the assignment. It says, write a comparison and contrast essay in which you compare and contrast the character Beowulf with that of a modern hero in a television show, video game, or other medium. Remember that a hero doesn't have to be a superhero. It could just be the main character. In your comparison, consider the type of monster or threat each hero faces. So the hero that you're choosing to write about may not actually fight a monster, but let's say that this is someone in a story who lost their job, or this is someone who's battling an illness, or whatever it may be. Or you might choose a superhero who is fighting an actual monster. This is up to you. As well as each hero's personal character. So you're going to compare and contrast the villain or threat that this hero is fighting, and you're going to compare and contrast this hero's character and Beowulf's character. Now, what are we talking about when we say character? We mean, what sort of person are they? What are their values? What are their priorities? Just what kind of person are they? All right. So here are some questions to consider. Are heroes shaped by the challenges they face? Here's another goal for your writing. Draw a conclusion about differences in Anglo-Saxon and modern day values. Maybe in the Anglo-Saxon time period, with what we learned about that time period, they had certain values and priorities that are different from the values and priorities that we have in our society today. Okay, so this is what I want you to include in your essay. You need to include quotes from Beowulf, okay, that support what you're saying. You need to include examples from your other source. If your other source comes from a movie or a television show, give specific examples. You could say, when Superman fought Batman in the movie, there was a misunderstanding between them. So give specific examples. Transitional words and phrases that clarify that you're making comparison and contrast. So you need to make sure that you have transition in your essay that shows that you're talking about Beowulf, then you're talking about another character, and you're comparing and contrasting the two. Okay, so this paragraph talks about the organization that you can use for your essay. You can choose to organize it in a point-by-point method or subject-by-subject method, meaning subject by subject, I would talk about everything to say about Beowulf, and then I would talk about everything to say about Superman. In a point-by-point organization, I would talk about Beowulf and Superman, and then in another paragraph, Beowulf and Superman. Okay? So here's some things to look at after you've written your essay to go back and kind of double check everything. Can you create a thesis statement identifying the main point you want to make? So you need to have one main point. These two characters are more alike because this, or these two characters are more different because of this. You need to have one main point. How were your heroes affected by their antagonist? The antagonist is whatever your hero is fighting against. Did you identify the values of each hero's society, like it talks about up here in the assignment? And have you compared and contrasted each hero in a clear manner where it's understandable to the reader? And then down at the bottom, I do have a rubric that kind of tells you how this is going to be graded, so you're able to follow that. Now, the main thing that I want you to remember is that this particular assignment is going to be turned in to turnitin.com, not to Google Classroom. So we can talk about that. You can email me if you have any questions about that. I'm going to probably go over that with you in class before this day that you have to do it. But don't turn in this essay to Google Classroom. Turn it in to turnitin.com. The only thing you're going to turn into Google Classroom will be the vocabulary and this literature groups assignment.